Yo guys, it's your boy Jason back with another video. I got this Dark World structure deck and little preface here. There's some family over because it's the holidays, so if you hear some like kids in the background, that's what that's about. Sorry about that. Hopefully they'll keep it down. All right, so let's get into this deck profile. I just wanted to show this off mainly because I finally got my hands on it, and I definitely had my chance to get magical mavens and stuff, but I waited for this and finally came. So here it is, and yeah, let me show. It's a pretty sick deck, I think. So to start off, we got the new boss monster, 3 Rainbow Overking of the Dark World. He basically, when he's discarded, searches out a Grapha, basically, and he could special summon from the grave by returning level 7 or lower Dark World monster you control to the hand. So basically, a stronger Grapha that gets Grapha to your hand and back to your hand again. So very good card. And then of course we got 3 Grapha. Self-explanatory what Grapha does, really. He was the old boss monster, and now he's got some stronger backup, which is just amazing. Then we got 3 Snow, like always, that just searches out the field spell. One of the mini cards that do that, actually. So you'll see this is like a 46 card deck. Less than 6 of them search out the field spell. So yes, you'll have less than a 40 card deck, basically. We got 3 Brow. Brow is just all around good draw, pretty self-explanatory. Why are you doing Brow? Then the new one of the new cards we got 3 Genta. Now Genta searches the field spell card when you discard him from your hand, but not by card effect. It's just his effect. You could discard him to add the field spell card to your hand, but when he's banished, you could special summon him. So when you go ahead and activate your field spell card, basically you could special summon him, and then he's a body on board that you could send back to your hand for either Grapha or Rainbow. So yeah, pretty cool, pretty good. um then we got 2 of the new Parles, Harmon of the Dark World. I don't really feel you need 3 because um it basically just turns your Dark World monsters into beige, like the special summon from the graveyard, but that you might not always have the setup for that. So just run 2 Parles and 1 Beige, because this is a really underrated card in this deck. Basically, what Beige does is special summons every time you discard them by card effect. So this isn't a hard once per turn. It's as many times as you can. So if you don't have any cards in your graveyard to Parle, Beige is just a better circumstance. So run a Beige because pretty good bounce ability. And that's pretty much for the Dark World monsters. Um, and now for the dangers, I got 3 Thunderbird, pretty self-explanatory. Um, 3 Bigfoot again. All their effects just trigger the Dark World monsters, so they're not only a big body, but if you discard them, it's not even that bad. 2 Mothman. Um, don't want to clog up your hand with drawing 3 of these, so yeah, just 2. And then to finish off the dangers, we got 1 Danger Sudoku and 1 Danger Nessie. Sunoco I would run more of, but it's limited to 1 right now, so you can't. And Nessie I would run more of, but I only have the 1. But Nessie's a really good card, so if you have any dangers in your graveyard or in your hand and you have Nessie, it's just a really good opener. And that's pretty much the monster lineup. Basically, just stuff to discard and stuff that you help you discard, which is just great. If you open all monsters, not the end of the world. We got 3 Dark World Ascension. It's pretty much the fusion spell now. For it fuses Grapha and a dark monster, so any of the dangers will fuse with Dark World Ascension. During the main phase, fusion summon 1 Fiend-type fusion monster from the extra deck by banishing materials mentioned on it from your hand, field, or graveyard. And because it's a Dark World monster, that you're fusioning summoning, um, then basically you could just discard. So that's a really good card. Basically, you could use them to discard. You could get the ones in your grave banished. Yeah, very good. And you do want them banished, as we'll see with another card. That's kind of confusing. I know. Moving on, we have 3 Dark World Ascent Archives. It's a continuous spell that during your main phase you can discard a Dark World monster. If you do, Dark World monsters you currently control gain attack equal to the level of the discarded monster in the hand times 100. So that not only gets a card discarded in your hand you want to be discarded, but it also lets them all gain attack equal to the level of the monster times 100, which is pretty good. Especially if you're doing like Grapha or Rainbow. um, uh, and then the second effect probably won't come up as much, but it can come up if a monster whose original type is Fiend is discarded from your hand by the effect of a Dark World card or an opponent's card effect. Even during the damage step, you can discard a card and draw 2. So that probably won't come up as much, but the fusion lets you makes your opponent may affect discard a card, so that's possible. And the other effect is definitely when you're discarding from a Dark World monster, that could definitely happen. So that sometimes could be a draw 2 discard 1, which is really good. So yeah, 3 of those. 1 Dark World Puppetry. It's not as good as you'd think. Basically, it's really you want to use it to get your stuff back from banished, but to do it, you have to target up to 3 cards from your graveyard, banish them, and then discard 1 monster. So that's okay. It's like that could happen like mid to late game, but I don't. That's why I don't run 3 of them. Basically, you want it for the other effect. Except the turn this card was sent to the graveyard, you can banish this card from the graveyard, target one of your banished feed type monsters, add it to your hand. So that's all you really want, is to get it in the grave. You don't even really want to necessarily use it because it'll make you banish 3 to get 1 back from banished anyway, so it doesn't really make any sense. So yeah, just run 1 of it just because how counterproductive it is. You basically just want it in the grave so you can yeah, get get Dark World back from being banished. 3 gates to Dark World because yeah, really good field spell, and you got a lot of things to search it now. At least 6 cards in your deck search that field spell alone, which is just crazy. Dark World Punishment. It's in when a monster would be normal summon or special summon, you can negate the summon. If you do, destroy that monster, then discard 1 fiend type monster. If a Dark World monster you could hold would be destroyed by battle or by opponent's card effect, you could banish this card from the graveyard instead. That's amazing. Not only is it a negate, a monster summon negation, it's also a more great stuff in the graveyard. So, yes. If only there's a way to get stuff back from the graveyard. Back in the graveyard from being banished. I'm not playing Soul Release. Dark Smog, Dark World Brainwashing. Dark Smog is just to get stuff out of your opponent's graveyard and like to banish stuff. And Dark World Brainwashing is if an extra skill drain basically, because yes, this deck is running 3 skill drain. Skill drain is obviously the better Dark World Brainwashing, but if you don't have any skill drain, it's like an extra skill drain basically. But yeah, that's the whole deck. 3 skill drains. Um, you might say, well, wasn't the skill drain counterproductive? It'll cut off some of your monster's effects. Sure, if you have an established board, but that's not why I would be running skill drain. Not when I have the established board. It would be to necessarily give me an extra turn so I can just OTK the next turn. So ultimately, getting cards cut off in half, if I feel I could just OTK next turn, that doesn't really matter. And then yeah, the extra deck is 3 of the new fusion, um, Grapha, Dragon Overload, or Dark World. Yeah, this card is crazy. When your opponent activates a monster effect or a normal spell trap while you have a card in your hand, you can activate this effect. The affected becomes your opponent discards 1 card. So yes, that turns on all the stuff that is like if your opponent tells set would make you discard. That's what this does, and it's got a pretty beefy attack, so it's not bad to summon. Can easily get it out with the fusion summon because it's a quick play. So you can just set that while you have a board established. This deck is very OTK heavy. As you can see, I run a lot of monsters, and the spells and traps are kind of. That's when you open bad, is when you just open all spells and traps. But even then, it's just you could set 5 cards and hope you survive the next turn, especially with skill drain. That'll help you get there for sure. So yes, this deck's nuts. Probably one of the better structured decks we've seen in a while. I'm glad I waited for it because it's really good, and we're about to get another structure deck I think in early next year, which is Trap Tricks, which I look really forward to seeing not only the new monsters but the new monsters. So that's cool. Yeah, I appreciate it. That's what I've been running and what I've had now. So shout out to my boy Steven and my boy Joe if they watch this. Thank you, and drop a like on it if you liked it. um, yeah, I appreciate the watch. Thanks for letting me waste your time. Have a nice day.